I'm ready.
There is a black cat now on the field.
Bring the ghost back to get rid of the cat.
Halloween and a black cat is running across.
Bring the ghost back to get rid of the cat.
Halloween.
Oh, this ought to be fun here.
Oh, there he goes.
Recording live from three locations. This is Past the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two great men, Caesar, aka LCs.
This wig, it does not breathe. I will be burning alive in the show, just like my fellow co-host, Bethke.
And Jacob, aka Bethke.
I'm a walrus. That means I'm an enigma. That means that goo goo goo.
All right, as I try to balance this helmet on top of my head, we got so much going on. It's Halloween week. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by looking at us or by the sound of my muffled voice behind this generic Walmart hockey mask.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I dress like this every day.
Yeah, and just to make it clear, I did put us in spooky vision, so there's that. But yeah, obviously a lot of football to get to. Basketball is really kicking. But first, we'll hit a couple of quick notes in the world of sports or sports adjacent. Bethke, did you have any guesses on what Under Pressure was about?
Fuck if I know, man. This was like some chess shit. It looked like I couldn't stomach this one. I don't know. New York Times got me on this one.
Yeah, so police arrest chess grandmaster for punching woman videographer after loss.
They choose to still okay. Grandmaster. Okay, so he punched a woman. What does this man look like? Is he's a small man probably?
He's not especially small. But he is smaller. He's probably, I think he's young 20s if I remember. He's been a grandmaster since he was 12.
Still don't love that term, but I get it. It's different.
It's not great, but his response has actually been pretty nice, where he's just like, look, I feel terrible and I shouldn't have done that, and like, obviously this is all my fault. So like, what else can you say? Like, he owned up to it.
You could say he's been a naughty boy and then he's let his face grow long.
Sorry, I didn't have the rim shot ready, so I went with the terrible impression of the song. Next is Down Goes Holloway. I didn't watch this. But
yes, this one I did know. I was able to decipher this one.
This was a big deal in the UFC world, where Max Holloway gets knocked out for the first time ever. I think it might be the first time he ever got knocked down, right?
I don't know. I think most UFC people would call me a libtard, and to that I would respond,
yeah,
probably in this case especially.
No, I enjoy it.
I don't watch a lot of fighting. I will watch a little occasional boxing.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, have very much been sports ball adjacent when it comes to my knowledge of the UFC. I just clearly don't care. I don't retain much. And I know Joe Rogan exists for other reasons, mostly making people eat cockroaches and asking really important people the dumbest questions you've ever heard in your life. So
fair enough.
That's fair.
I enjoy the UFC occasionally. I'm not gonna say I follow it by any means, but it's nice to know that it's pretty much always there every Saturday if you want it.
That's true. Very reliable product.
What's up, C's?
Oh no, you're good.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Quickly moving on to caught on camera in Tar Country. This one comes equipped with a little bit of a graphic, so figure this
show and tell.
Headline reads: Boat motors stolen from University of North Carolina rowing team. Thief caught on camera.
Boat motor.
So
motor.
police are looking for this guy. If you've seen him in the North Carolina area.
Oh,
Stealing
shit.
boat
Yeah, I
motors.
recognize that guy.
He's stealing boat motors from the rowing team of the Tar Heels.
What does a rowing team need a boat with a motor for? Grind set not equipped?
Every rowing team has a boat that goes beside them for safety and coaching purposes.
Oh, so the coach is the coach is over here not trying to row.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You do need a boat that just in case.
I honestly would have just assumed that the coach just sat at the top of the boat and bitched. That would have been my guess as an idiot, not knowing anything about rowing.
No, they coast alongside. But
also, probably as a bad family member, I'm pretty sure I had a cousin go to a California school for rowing at one point. So
look, you don't want to beat them down with those kind of questions. They're
That's
probably
fair.
happy you never did.
I'm landlocked Texan, dude. He knew there was no. We have man-made lakes. That's it. He lived by
Baylor's got a crew.
Baylor's got a crew, but
you grew up right next to it.
I also did grow up next to like one of the most beautiful and flowing rivers in Texas. That is fair, but unfortunately, I did not row. I just swam and got just tried not to get bit by water moccasins in it. That was pretty much the two objectives we had.
Oh, fair enough.
That's fair.
I think it's time to move past the quick hits, get into one quick note on Stars hockey, which gives me an excuse to hit this button. Anyways, so the Stars are in Finland right now.
What are they doing over there?
They have a game on Friday, which will be played at noon Central Time against the Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champions.
Question. Is this a home game or an away game for the...
Honestly, good question. You'd think I know that, but I'm going to have to look at it again.
That's a very fair question.
Yeah.
I figured since there's not an odd number of games in the NHL, they can't just, be like, oh, hey,
It is a Stars home game, and to be fair, they do have a quality amount of Finnish guys on the team, so I think it might actually be a real home game for them.
Some of them.
Florida does as well, to be fair, but I don't think they have as many.
They're taking away Robert Robertson from his home ice advantage of just being near Uptown.
But anyways, it's cool. It's a cool bit. I don't know about watching hockey at noon on a weekday, but I'll have to get used to it, I guess. I do have a friend who's over there. He's a Stars season ticket holder. So that's exciting to have someone in there. The rink will be wider from side to side, but shorter from end board to end board. So
interesting. Now,
play that way. Deal with it.
Who do you think gets the most of the money from the gate? Do you think the Stars do?
No,
because you're taking away one of their home games, so that's less money in their pocket.
It's got to be an even split, right? I've got to assume. I don't really know how it all works because I assume at some point there's something else that no, sorry, this is dumb, and I should have mentioned this at the top. They're playing 2 games, so one's a Stars home game, one's a Panthers home game.
Or bang for your buck.
So it's going to be an even split.
Okay.
So
still takes away.
Friday. We've got Friday at noon Central and Saturday at what I guess is 10 a.m. Fun. Can't wait to wake up for that. But
you're already a morning person.
I like that they're doing this. Yeah, you're right. I will have been awake by at least 3 hours. I like getting the representation of Texas hockey out there, which is pretty cool. It's nice to know that we might have a bigger fan base at some point in Europe than other well-established teams. So that'd be pretty fun. And also, let's win some hockey against, the team that just won the cup. So who we would have played if we hadn't blown it against Edmonton.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
But there is a very important question because I was searching Stars topics on the news.
Let's do that hockey.
And I have, I think, a very pressing question that you need to answer, Patrick.
Uh-oh, pressure's on. Go ahead.
A recent news article claims that the Dallas Stars have doubled in value. Is this more important than winning a championship?
depends on who you talk to, I guess. Not to the fans.
All right. Well, we'll be monitoring the situation closely, Dallas Stars fans.
To Tom Gagliardi, probably, but he seems pretty hands off on the hockey stuff, so I'm cool with all that.
I like the name. The name makes me feel more confident.
He
It's like there's a little.
He's
little
a Canadian. I think he's a hotel guy.
Ooh, Canadian, so it means something to him.
Oh, for sure. I'm pretty sure he owned that hotel that blew up in Fort Worth from the gas leak.
Oh,
it was the old bank.
Shit. Yeah, I remember that.
That's one of his properties.
Oh.
We actually
Probably not his proudest property, but
someone who works there. I mean, it was a nice place. I don't think the gas leak had anything to do with them. That's just they just happened to be in the middle of it exploding, as far as I know. But anyways, lastly from me here, before we get really kicking into the big stuff, the World Series is happening. Dodgers
that's pretty
dominated
big.
First 3 games. Yankees came back and scored more games and won Game 4 than they did in the first 3 games combined. But I'm pretty sure the Dodgers probably going to end it tonight. I haven't looked at the score, though.
It's been a great series, I'm not going to lie. And I actually just remembered that is on tonight. And I've been watching
Cleveland. It hasn't even started yet.
Oh.
I didn't realize what time it was.
It is a little bit early. It's about to get going. Anyway, Game 1, that's really the game we got to talk about because the rest of them don't matter. Ohtani got hurt, but that didn't matter. Ice Cube's pregame performance, I meant to grab that and put it on here. That was cool if you haven't seen that.
Or did you see the one from Fat Joe?
No, Ice Cube's was fucking sick.
Okay.
Fat Joe was good for internet purposes. Ice Cube was like legitimately like, God damn, that's why he's one of the GOATs. I don't care if you're MAGA, bro. You're still the GOAT. Freddie Freeman in Game 3. There's some content we need to have a conversation.
In Game 1 through 3, but
no, Game 3 specifically was a frustrating one because that was the one where it felt like now he's stealing Corey Seager's thunder, and now it's time to set up the main narrative of the 25 World Series.
Well, look, yeah, I was gonna say
the battle for number 5, the battle for the blue number 5 is coming.
No matter what happens, the Rangers will be a footnote in all of it.
So. I don't care. Freddie Freeman may have stolen the jersey and the thunder of Corey Seager, but he will return for what is rightfully his.
That's right.
But yeah, really, again, the pitcher's duel in Game 1 is really the biggest part of this series because that shit was cool and that shit was like real hip hop baseball. And then all of a sudden, it looked like manufactured runs had kind of worked out a little bit, and then all of a sudden, kaboom. Kablooey, as they would say. I literally walked away, went to the closet in my office, which I do from time to time to partake in things and events. And when I walked back in, the score had radically changed. The game had radically changed, and the series had radically changed.
That's the thing about the baseball playoffs, man. It's quick. But I mean, honestly, and it's it's cliche, it's chalk, but even in a world where we went back to the original baseball playoff system, these would be the 2 teams playing each other. So it is kind of nice to have that. As much as I love the Rangers' run from collapsing wildly in the last 4 days of the regular season to winning the World Series, baseball is a game more so than the other sports, definitely more so than football, that you're supposed to play out this long season to decide who can really be a part of it. So it is nice when that plays out from time to time. These are 2 incredible teams, and I'm pretty surprised the Dodgers took a 3-0 lead. And
I'm stunned at the Yankees being this bad.
Well, it's just how it goes. It's a flip here or there.
It's just every first inning basically has been a nightmare, right? Even last night.
Either team could have won any of those games. There were no real blowouts. But yeah, I don't think the Yankees are gonna do history and win 4 in a row to win the whole thing. So it's likely over soon, if not tonight. But it's been fun, and it's good for baseball to have, and it's incredibly good for baseball to have Ohtani win something. It's really poor for the Angels, and that franchise is not going to grow anytime soon, it doesn't look like. Moreno really missed the boat on selling that team at a high when he said he was going to sell the team, and everyone was ready to jump on it.
And honestly, Aaron Judge really hoping that if the series is going to go against him, that at least maybe game 5 tonight goes his way at least.
Yeah.
No, game 4 was a little bit better. Technically, he walked
Judge
a
is
couple times.
fine.
but-
Judge
No,
will
this
be
is game
fine.
4.
One World Series for him won't
No, this
ruin
is
him
game
there.
5.
If he has another bad playoffs after this, then that'll be a problem. I think he's built enough clout even in New York to survive.
Hold on. This is
Caesar, they're doing 2-3-2, bro. This is game 5 tonight.
They don't travel. There's no days off.
So wait, am I smoking crack right now? Are the Dodgers not up 3-0?
No,
Oh, they're
they won
3-1.
last
Yankees
night.
won
Or
last night.
Yankees won last night.
11 to
Oh,
4.
see, I thought I thought they had a break for whatever reason, so I
They
didn't
took a
even pay
day
attention
off
last
to
night.
travel.
Okay.
They don't do
yeah,
NBA
sure.
style where they're like, let's take 3 days between every game and then 5 days between travel games.
Yeah,
You know
because
how
they
little-
Hockey
collectively
does that.
bargain.
To be fair, hockey does that too.
You need to get that collective bargaining agreement up.
It's awful.
Yeah, man. You know what? Maybe I've had too much of these. What is it? These diet sodas, fucking up my brain, fucking up my memory. All right. Either way,
I guess with
Info.
that, the last thing I have before I
Shit.
really hand everything over is we should mention big news in the music world. There's a new Tyler album, and at some point we'll probably do some kind of further breakdown of it. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it here. It's
Shit,
fun.
he ain't the only one.
I really like it. No, he's not the only one, but he's gonna be the most
You get
about
Freddie.
one.
You get Freddie Gibbs.
popular one.
keep going. I
Definitely
got
most
you.
talked about ones.
Because bro, no, somebody tweeted it out earlier. and I
I'd
was
like to
oh my
promote
God.
Earth Gang's new album.
Earth Gang.
that's also good.
There's. I mean,
If you like
You have,
dancing, if you like to dance, the new Earth Gang album's definitely for you.
I believe that you have a new Denzel Curry coming. Which I'm excited for. Once I saw that he's doing a song with Waka.
if the best person to look at this didn't tweet all the goddamn time, then this would be easier to find.
You can just go to our hip hop heads and look at the
West Side
releases.
Gun, apparently Lil Uzi Vert, which I think at this point in his career, it's very interesting to see what that happens. Even if it's not good, you're still like,
I'm too much of a casual. I know that name, but
I think it would be tough music for you to get into for sure.
yeah, I don't think it would appeal. I don't think it's
There's some
appealing
cool
to
stuff.
me, and that's fine. But
It's just very hip
I've
hop
heard him on
energy
other
with
stuff
like a
where I don't
different.
hate it, but a lot of times with most rappers, I don't love their production, especially the
Well,
guys who are
this
lower
is
down on the totem pole don't have the best of production. So
no. Hey, don't say that to him. Because you have to understand, Lil Uzi Vert is a big deal to the next generation. That's what
Okay.
he made a lot of money and a lot of success because Gen Z. That's one of Gen Z's like Mount Rushmore. That's what you got to understand.
is.
I've had to learn this too, but it is true. You have to come to terms with that. That's reality.
Uzi and Cardi,
That's
man,
fine.
they
Hey,
love him.
he makes good energy music,
fine.
but
I
it
mean,
is
people
tough.
before me had to listen to stuff that I find
Well, it's
I don't want to listen
difficult.
to. So I understand that people behind me are going to listen to stuff that
You
I
grow
might
up in the
find
boom
listenable
bap
also.
era, and then you kind of get spoiled in the whole modern 2000s, where all the big hip hop, big selling hip hop songs are coming out, and then you get into now we have streaming where everything is anything it wants to be. Lil Uzi Vert's always been one where I at least try it. It's always sort of coin flip for me, but I think there's some pretty solid shit even for a hip hop head like me, who's usually just listening to that old Dust
I mean,
Head.
I would assume you'd find
rhymes
more in
over
there
beats.
than I probably will.
It's just interesting music, but it's unique in
I
that
think-
way.
Yeah, I bet that I would like it in something like a girl talk mashup where I'm getting like 30 seconds of it at a time. I bet I
Oh,
could vibe with
definitely.
it there.
Definitely.
And then actually one last thing, because I feel bad. Last week I didn't feel like I did a good enough job with the Fernando Valenzuela stuff. It's worth mentioning, if you don't know this, the whole reason pretty much that the Mexican culture adopted the Dodgers is because of him. Like that
Mhm.
wasn't a thing until Fernando Valenzuela came along. And now we just think of that as like that's what that is, like Cowboys. But that's him.
Fernando also did that for the Cowboys. It's kind of crazy.
Other things I didn't
People don't know
mention.
that.
He started his rookie year 8-0 with 7 complete games. It looked like, just the most insane thing you could ever think
That's
about.
basically every creative player I've ever made in any baseball game.
Yeah,
It just
he-
always has that career arc.
Did
But
you-
it never goes further. It always goes as far too, because I never, commit further on to the bit. So usually I've just made a ton of Fernando Valenzuelas my whole life.
Exactly.
That-
And
How many complete games did you say?
I think it was 7 of his first 8 starts.
Jesus. So many.
Yeah, Buck Skeeter definitely did that.
No
He's
wonder his
a-
elbow tore off.
Yeah, it's
That
He's,
and the
uh,
screwball.
but I mean, he's he's a pivotal moment in the history of the game. So I just felt bad that I didn't really quite get that across. I just want to throw some extra on that just to add some of that.
Make it zesty.
And on that note, I think we're gonna take a quick pause and then move right into hoops.
Whoopity. I'm ready. What's next?
Oh, we're back. It's time for some basketball and some
Basketball.
Halloween music. So yeah, without further ado, here's our director of Hoopla, Jacob Bethke.
Excuse me, I am the walrus today.
The director.
That's Andy
of
Reid, everybody.
Hoopla.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's talking basketball.
I need a cheeseburger. I need some yellow matter custard that's dripping from a dead dog's eye. All right. Yeah, so there is some.
I like
there
the
is
recall.
some.
I'm hoping he doesn't just have the lyrics pulled up on the side of his screen, but
I did, but you know why? Because
mean-
that's one of those songs where I actually didn't understand most of the gibberish being spoken in it.
You
So
had to
that
look
I
it
actually,
up,
this
yeah.
is clearing up. What is a Crabalaka fishwife? I knew the pornographic priestess, but I definitely always just mumbled before pornographic priestess. I did not know it was Crabalaka fishwife.
Don't worry about any
What
of
is-
the
I have no
lyrics in
idea.
that song. They don't mean anything.
I know that. Yeah, I knew that. That's the other thing is I never cared enough to read into these lyrics. But no, I actually did unfortunately pull that. I pulled them up to try to like tie them into niche references to your bits, but then that got difficult and I just gave up. So
Fair enough.
yeah, that's the truth behind the notes. Okay. The first ever This Week in Basketball is on our YouTube page. This will supplant the weekly hoopla for the most part because we'll still do things here focused mostly on Los Spurs and Los Mavericks.
That's right.
But I will mention any national stories that I feel are big enough. But at this point, I want to celebrate. The video is just a little fun thing of all the little goofy shit you might have missed. Some fun dunks, some fun plays, nothing too crazy. There's a couple of lowlights, mostly a happy, positive, fun time for all involved. So I hope you enjoyed it. And the only note that I'll leave with is we'll attempt to do better technical quality. If it looks like somebody recorded and edited it on a potato, well, yeah, kind of. That kind of is actually what happened a
On
little
my
bit.
phone, it looked fine. So
I think the
understand-
phone,
I
it's gonna look
understand what
great.
You mean, yeah, on the bigger screen, it might not look great, but on the phone, I think it looked fine. And for a little highlight package, that's great.
Yeah, and it's great.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. It's
At
gonna.
first,
You
I was
guys.
like, I thought it was gonna be a short intro, and then you were gonna talk, and then I was like, man, this is a really long highlight intro.
No. We'll do most of the talking here. You know, I think if anything, if I really feel like going back to the solo mode, that'll probably be for like the explainer stuff, like the IST video that kind of kicked off the hoopla last week. I think that's a little bit better if something really needs to have room to run and we don't have time here.
I'm gonna need your full breakdown on Champagne's entire life.
Julian Champagny. Yeah, there's been 2 Champagnes. He's the one that looks like he's gonna stick. Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed. I also wouldn't have guessed he was in his like 5th year.
Yeah, Spurs just got him off the scrap heap. I think that's the one that had been in Toronto for a while first.
I think he's been with the Spurs for like 3 years, and he was with them for like 1 year or something. But maybe I got that backwards.
Yeah, he's basically his story is he's
Well, I
been one of the
didn't realize
successes
I
of two
didn't know who
ways.
he was until opening night this year. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
oh.
Well, he started getting bigger minutes, I believe, at the end of last year. Started doing this, and then that transitioned to this. Champagne's basically the ideal version of the two-way contract working out, right? That's really the most like important version of that you could get. That's the way they're selling it. I don't think was Derek White a two-way, or was he still too old for that? I don't think they had that
I feel
system
like he'd
quite
be
right.
too old for that.
Yeah, I think he
And I
just
feel
did
like he was
D-League and
always
then
just-
moved up.
Yeah, it just was just productive enough to stay. So
I think he was one more. I think he was just before the two-way system was involved, but he would have been, another example there. And then I think before him would have been the Simmons guy. So yeah, there's tales of that. In baseball we see this all the time. In basketball, the goal is to build a prospect system, and yeah, Champagne is an example of maybe that's starting to work just a little bit. But yeah, so go enjoy the first week of basketball. But for now, we're going to talk about this week in Mavericks. Then we'll get to this week in Spurs.
a little crossover this week.
Yeah,
A little
yeah.
bit.
So look, the San Antonio Spurs came into Dallas, and Patrick, you thought you were about to get a show. You thought you were about to break all the hearts in Dallas. The championship hopes are high here.
I will have Stephanie attest to the fact that I said they're going to beat us by 20, but we'll keep it close through the half. And
not bad.
I didn't expect it to go the way it did based on the play, but it still went that way.
Yep. So, honestly, there was a lot of things to be determined about the Spurs. We'll talk about a missing player from their starting rotation that kind of impacts things there. Talk about the big guy there.
More what I took from that experience, because we'll talk about the Spurs side of it later, was just the Mavs are just on another. They're good, man. They're really fun to watch too.
And they have a little bit of margin to get even better, I think. So I'm excited to think about that as they go 3-1 through the first set of 4. I think they played back tomorrow night, not tonight. Last night, we'll obviously get to the big shot at some point, but really the overarching theme has been a couple of things here. You have a couple of top 10 things that I'm interested in as far as top 10 stat holders in the NBA. You have 2 guys from the Mavericks that are top 10 in offensive rebounding, and both of them are top 5 in offensive rebounding percentage, right? That's incredible. And then guess who is top 10 in defensive rebounds? It's another Maverick, and it's not those 2 Mavericks. That's pretty incredible. 3 Mavericks lead in the top 10 of rebounding.
Small sample size, but it's nice.
Very, very puny sample size, for sure.
But yes, nice to hear, considering their history of
and that's Lively and Gafford. Lively and Gafford are there, and then Luka is actually the defensive rebound expert right now.
We could talk about it for a bit, but watching Lively play against Wemby, Lively's so good, dude. His footwork and just how he knows how to use his body is incredible. I've never been that close to. I'm trying to think. That's the closest the last time I was that close to a game, it was like JJ Barea first year on the Mavs playing against crappy Clippers team.
Jesus fucking
So I didn't see a lot of high quality basketball. Watching Lively against Wemby was incredible, and I have a lot of respect for Derek Lively's game.
And it helps that he has Tyson Chandler on the bench still, right?
Yeah. They're going to continue to have that mentor relationship there. Thing with Lively is there's a lot of stuff you could still be nitpicking here, and obviously he's coming off the bench,
young,
which is
he's still incredibly young. It's just I guess I just didn't realize. I knew he was good. I just hadn't seen. It convinced me.
Offensively, you're still wondering what's going to happen with him there. That's really the big variable that no one can answer at this point. But yeah, defensively, that was why I thought it was so smart that they did what they did. Because it was just clear that this guy had the kind of physical skills necessary. And then if you watch how Luka plays international, you're like, man, he just loves having this kind of player. Even though they never even in Slovenia had that size, but they had guys that were similar. If he can ever figure out how to pop out and shoot, that definitely changes a whole lot of things. But for now, they'll take the development. I think really the goal for him this season is to take the starting job by force. That's going to have to happen because I think Gafford's going to pretty much hold him out for a while.
Are they not better off just letting him come in and just ruin teams backups? Does that not?
To some extent,
run the Manu playbooks. I feel like that's just a great way to win in the NBA.
But the Manu playbook is that's definitely the difference.
Although Lively's not running an offense, but.
Right. So Manu is to bring you offense when you don't have your stars necessarily doing so. For Lively, that's just not his role. And if that changes, maybe. But again, if that changes, then he's just a full-fledged starter. The thing is Gafford is respected. He's done great work since being in Dallas. And it shows me that, and Jason Kidd, everything he's done since he's been in Dallas shows me that he is emphasizing that kind of culture. So I think it's very important for him to really just keep busting his ass because I think no matter what happens, Daniel Gafford cannot protect the rim, in my opinion, at the same level as Derek Lively. And eventually that will win out in the terms of use. If that's the playoffs, whatever it has to be. But there's no rush to get there at all.
It's a long season.
Yeah.
And they got
and that's really the big part.
Yeah.
It could be the whole season. It could happen next year, and that's fine. I just think for them to win a championship, I don't think Gafford's a starting center on a championship team. But he can develop, and he's still a fairly young player. I just think it's very clear his rim protection has never been really something that is as great as he is as being a big man at a lot of other things.
What if Jason Kidd just listed everybody as a point guard every night?
I would love it. That's I said that's my grandpa taught me the most boomer take in basketball, and that was just getting really upset when anybody misses a free throw. Just inexplicably upset because it's a free throw. No one's guarding them. That's what they should be able to do, right? Mine is treating basketball players like they should be smart enough to do all the things possible on a basketball court. Because what else are you guys doing with all your time?
Acting like everyone should be Michael Jordan.
Not necessarily. I mean, yeah, but it's just
Kawhi
like big.
Leonard.
I get so sad when I hear big men are just like, all I do is this. Like, well, fucking go dribble then after the fucking scrimmages, dude. Go just do something yourself here, man, if the coaches aren't going to let you. Because I just don't understand how you can enjoy playing basketball and not do any of the fun stuff. That's crazy to me, even in your own time.
It's a job for a lot of people, man.
That's fair. And then that's why I've always said I don't hate when the NBA is getting a little smaller because I think it gets more competitive. I think bigger guys aren't as competitive. They're just Shaq or dunk dummies.
There are fewer of them.
Yeah.
And obviously, the body type leads to more pain the harder
Yeah,
you work.
you're right. I'm not talking about like Wemby. I'm not talking about like the good big men. I'm talking about. I'm talking about just
him. Like I hope he doesn't overwork because that means his career will be shorter because he's that big. So.
Well, but there's difference in work, right?
Yeah,
there's lifting weights, there's physical exercise. I'm talking about going out in the gym and dribble drills. I'm talking about dribble drills for an hour. I'm talking about shooting 30,000 shots a day kind of stuff. I'm talking about insane pro level things.
This is definitely a fan psyche of like, you're getting paid millions of dollars. Why aren't you constantly shooting a basketball?
I agree. That's why I called it a boomer take. But I will preface this. I agree with that, but I still stand firm on it.
Also, because basketball is the one sport you can actually fucking go do by yourself.
Exactly. That's the point. And if
you can kind of do some of soccer, but not the same thing.
If you talk to all the sickos, they like that just as much as they like 5-on-5. Like, it's really not that crazy. Like, to me, it's important to enjoy. It's important to enjoy. Now, shoot around's bullshit. I wish they eliminated that. That's honestly part of the culture of why people are apathetic.
I mean, like one person out there by themselves.
Yeah. I thought you were talking, pregame shoot arounds. I'm sorry, that's another, but that's not a boomer one. That's progressive. Everyone hates those. Okay.
That's the pageantry.
So, last thing on Mavs stuff, there was a couple of things I want to talk about. Maxey is out right now, probably for the foreseeable future.
Worth pointing out, because I didn't think about this until I heard it mentioned on a podcast. It wasn't, but what, 2-3 years ago, where they were like, we can't win a game if Maxey's not out there.
Yeah, and now he's barely out there. It's unfortunate. I was having this conversation in a group chat with some Mavs fans.
Well, I think it's a positive for the team, not necessarily a down thing for Maxey. It's just he was never.
Oh no, it's what I'm trying to say is Maxey Kleber. I'm not a Mavs diehard, but I have watched your career very, very closely because I used to have great tickets to your early games. your early career, buddy. I was there and I was close. I saw a lot of it. I saw you earning those minutes on jump teams. But look, it's time. You're $11 million on the book this year. You're $11 million next year. That's not a big deal. But if I'm the Dallas Mavericks and now I have Hardy with a little more money and a little more tradable asset potentially. Max, who's not developing quite as quickly as I would like, and maybe someone else can give him more minutes to give him that opportunity. Now I'm looking at a couple of trade chips. I've still got draft picks for whatever that's going to be worth to whatever asset I'm trying to acquire. Look, it's not a big splash. It's not getting you Giannis, which I'm sure everyone's going to start turning their eyes to in the NBA, depending on how Milwaukee goes. But ultimately, I think that's the next thing for the Mavericks. What do they do with Maxey? I think he still needs to play a little bit, because hopefully it's not just contract fodder, because then it's a second year to it. That might make the trade more expensive than necessary. So you do want Maxey to play a little bit, show that another team might be able to flip him next year for a pick. And then you really can maybe get away with a nice little trade there to upgrade to a more useful and reliable rotational piece. What that'll be also is going to be a question. So I don't have an answer to that. I have guys. We could rumor, obviously, Dorian Finney-Smith reunion has always been popular and will stay popular until he's on someone else's team or the Mavericks again. And so that's kind of where I would say just because I say this and I feel very confident in it being true or very close to reality this season, it probably won't happen until the deadline, and maybe shouldn't happen until the deadline anyway, because then you really get to see.
There's mostly no rush.
There's no rush with this particular situation. You're going to have to wait
a ton of games.
You always have to wait until the middle of January anyway for all the contractual stuff to get done so that everybody's eligible to be traded. And then, well, for the most part, there's some people who are not eligible if they sign big ass extensions to start the season, but that's basically it. A very small select of stars, essentially. So that's going to be a big portion of the market, and then that's when the market opens up, and then a month later you're going to have trade deadline. So that's probably how it's going to go. I think Mavs fans just want to hope that Maxi's healthy. But I think from my outlook, I hope that Maxi's healthy. I hope he plays well. I hope he's still useful. But I do think that the best thing for the Mavericks is to be able to use this asset to get just incrementally better. Because I think as good as this group looks, I still would like it to just get me one more certified, I feel great about this guy going into the playoffs kind of guy. And then the last thing on the Mavs, this is just interesting news story. Kyrie Irving and Jason Kidd are philosophical companions, kimosabis, potentially.
Drunk driving, abusing women, burning
I
incense,
don't think that Kyrie's been responsible for any of those things, but I do understand where the one party
walking
has.
in moccasins.
I see, but that's the thing is, you're trying to compare two guys who actually I think are polar opposites, regardless of the fact that they love basketball. I think that you're actually
how they're
seeing
philosophically in the same.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that Kyrie so Jared Dudley had this quote about why don't y'all see any of these things happening with Kyrie Irving? And he was like, because of Jason Kidd, is what he said. And he was like, Jason and Kyrie have philosophical powwows all the time. So I think that what he was implying is that basically they just kind of bicker amongst themselves about these philosophical things, and that sort of satisfies the urge or whatever, and then it just doesn't spill out into anything else. They just have a happy donkey world. So I mean, look, I don't think Jason Kidd is a geopolitics master. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is they just talk.
He plays for the Dallas Mavericks.
I would say Caesar. I would say more or less they bullshit. But yes, they talk. Yeah. I would say they talk. But either way,
who knew healthy communication was important to keep Kyrie in good spirits?
The man just wants to have a conversation deeper than basketball. You know, that's all it is. And Jason Kidd's happy to oblige.
All right. I mean, looking at that roster, I don't know who else. I don't know who else who would have that conversation with. I don't think it.
So look, y'all are laughing now.
Theo's hanging around. Maybe he's reading up.
You're laughing now, and I promise I'm not just hyping up Mavs or teasing Mavs fans. I'm just being general historian nerd. So many books back here filled with stories of championship teams that have stupid-ass stories like that.
I think this.
No, listen,
I think this team is
it.
clearly a potential champion. It's tough to go back again.
And unlocking the best out of Kyrie Irving is certainly one of the check boxes for this year's team.
And doing it in the playoffs would be really nice.
It's the same part of it. I think it's the same formula. I think that they're the same issues that plagued Kyrie in the playoffs happened in the regular season.
I thought he looked fine in the regular season. I feel like he really disappeared in the playoffs. Maybe that's just a spotlight thing.
He had a bad finals. He was in the playoffs. They wouldn't have got as far.
I was going to say he was very instrumental in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it was a terrible finals, but other than that, it was really good. And I think and to be fair to Kyrie, that team was very much low on options offensively with strategy, and going up against what could be the next franchise that runs the NBA for God knows how long, because what they've put together is quite impressive.
I like the Mavs shots this year. I like what I see from the Mavs so far.
So far, so good, but we're just in week 1, gentlemen.
Yep.
Sure.
We're going to leave the Mavericks with this one little highlight.
Can't find any space. 3 seconds. 2. Deep one. Bang! Bang!
That was what is like first or second three of the night.
Yeah, and I had to add the bang bang because the guy who did the call just didn't give enough. He didn't give enough for me. And that was a quick job too.
I was like, it feels a little early in the year to be bang banging, but
that was a quick edit job too. But it wasn't Mike Breen that originally started that play call, but it was Mike Breen that finished it because he didn't do a good enough job. So sorry.
I didn't even notice if that makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
Man, Luka's
sound just
incredible.
play for the rest of the
That
video.
over the shoulder no look pass. He's been
That was
even,
beautiful.
even if he's not playing his absolute best, he's still putting on quite a show.
Yeah, he's already had 2 of those insane Luka plays in 4 games. So yeah, or passes rather. Moving on.
It's a thrill to watch him as much as I hate it.
And I guess we should also not bury the fact that he is shot like complete shit and then buried that dagger last night. So just gotta love the Wonder Boy. That's truly his greatest power is just being able to pull it out of his ass, no matter the odds. It's really an important superpower to have. So
he's scary, man.
Can't hate it. Los Spurs, they're 1-2. That's 1 win over the Rockets, sandwiched by 2 losses to the Mavericks first and then the Rockets second. They play the Thunder tonight, which is not probably that's probably happening at this point, right? Is that tonight?
I see it 3-1-1.
I don't know what that means.
I'm trying to say we're going to be 1-3, but
you're going to be 1-3 probably. The Oklahoma City Thunder are quite a basketball team. Let's see. As of recording, is that the night game? Yeah, that is the night game. That's the 8:30. So that one will tip off later. Look, Chet versus Wemby, that's a big deal. We're excited for that. We'll talk that next week after we have the results of tonight. The Rockets thing looked good the first game. Second one, not so much. The shooting as well for Wemby, not great. I would say probably the most concerning, but still small sample, still very small sample, is that Wemby only appears on 3 top 10 lists in the stats categories. Rebounds per game, blocks.
It's not at all a surprise.
I should say he appears in a couple of the blocks ones, but I tallied them all together as one.
Yeah.
And then total rebound percentage, which I do feel like is a little different than the actual rebounds per game. But so it's basically rebounding and blocks. He's all right. Everything else he's not there in. Super small sample size. Does not matter that much. It's just a little disappointing.
Having watched
mildly
2 of those 3 games live, there's a reason I've got the Sohan on right now, because that's been the best player on the team for the first 3 games.
Which isn't a bad thing, because I think that was my biggest question mark on the Spurs.
But also watching Wemby, it's like, what's going on there?
I
think he'll be okay, but it's a weird start. It's a rough start to the year.
I've seen a lot of bickering on the don't trade the Zohan thing, but I'm not going to lie. I will stake my claim. Coming into this season, I was more on he's probably a trade asset than a useful
He damn near had a double-double in the first half against Houston. It was awesome.
I still think he's a curious player. I'm not sure. He's a curious player, but I do think that I get the potential. I got the potential he was drafted. We're seeing the consistency.
He's really fun to watch.
I think the most important thing about it is don't trade him, because at this point, even if he does kind of suck, you just want to go ahead and ride this out and make sure first, I think would be the right call.
No, I think he's good. I don't know. I'm not going to say he's a Hall of Famer, but I think he's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is he the right player as well for this team? Because guys like Keldon Johnson, that's who's, Trey Jones, he's out for 2 weeks. That's unfortunate for him because he might get himself traded just out of well, I mean, Malachi Branham, if he can really get some trajectory going when he's in these minutes, I think it could work. I think you could be in a position where with Chris Paul, Stephon Castle, and Malachi Branham, you're kind of, not 100% sure if Trey Jones is perfect for that. But then I think Trey does have the ability to play combo guard a little bit better than the other 3. So that might help. I will say that's probably been the greatest thing is Stephon Castle looks awesome. And the more I watch him play, the more I'm just like, shout out to Chris Paul and shout out to the Spurs for making what I think a lot of people are still going to probably make fun of for years to come, because who knows what the ceiling of the Spurs team is or how long Chris stays on this team. But I think that both sides clearly saw that there was an immense amount that Stephon Castle in particular could take from Chris Paul. And that there any time under the tutelage of Chris Paul, no matter what, was going to pay off dividends in the future with this new draft pick. So I think that was probably my biggest takeaway. Devin Vassell hasn't joined the group yet. His reevaluation came a little early. But that ended up being that they're going to send him to the G League for a second for him to get his shit back together, and then he will join the big club probably like middle of the month at worst, I would say, maybe even sooner than that. Usually they only put him in the G League for like a game or two just to get a run in. Those are fast-paced games, so it usually works. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it from Los Spurs. Any other observations from the
Yeah, it was a fun time. I like this thing that they have. I hope it continues with the Mavs Spurs playing opening night, just alternating back between Dallas and San Antonio. That'd be cool if that could last. Probably it will last as long as Luka's in Dallas / Do we lose Bethke?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Nope, he's back.
He's back.
That's
baby.
crazy, dude. I think I just kicked an Ethernet cord and did that on accident. So my fault, fam.
No, we're good. Yeah, I'd like to see that be a continuing thing. I don't love the way this schedule works where we're playing the Rockets 3 of 4 times within the first month of the season.
Yeah, it's and you're looking at the Lakers Spurs have already played twice. I'm pretty sure that's happened a few times. Or not Lakers Spurs, Lakers Suns.
Okay.
Already played a couple times. So you're seeing division rivals play quite early, and I don't know if I like that.
2 is one thing. It's half of them. But
Well,
when
shouldn't
you
I
have
say
the full
2? I don't
3,
know that maybe they play again
it's probably,
tomorrow.
They probably the same schedule basically that we have with
Um,
it. But it's I don't love that.
You know what? That's funny. They get away with it because they're playing the Clippers tomorrow. So because they've actually got the split. Actually, I think the Suns have started with 2 games against the Lakers, 2 games against Clippers. That's hilarious.
But that aside, watching Wemby even not at 100% is still incredible. We good?
It's all right. Just power through.
Watching Wemby not at
I don't
100%
know.
is still pretty nice. Sohan looked really good in both games. He was everywhere. The turnovers is the issue. I think that's the biggest thing plaguing the team right now. They're all turning the ball over, even Chris Paul, which just tells me they just need to play together more. And some of the younger guys just probably need to take a beat.
Which is probably why it's important not to overreact for anybody early in the season because
and that wasn't. I think the ceiling for this team is to hit the play-in, but we'll see how that goes.
Everybody's gonna have to get through a lot of things. I was actually just saying, like, Lakers getting kind of tossed around against Cleveland in the first half of that game. They're gonna have to develop some stuff and make some decisions. Game 1 looked good, but they're going against the Wolves. The Wolves just remade the team a little bit. There's a whole new dynamic with the Timberwolves. Same with Dallas. You're taking advantage of the schedule so far. That's great.
Yeah.
But it's keep it trucking, keep it moving is the point of the season.
Yeah, and especially for those top teams, that's what you got to do is win the games you're supposed to win. That's all you can do. For the Spurs, like I said, I'd like to see a little bit more of a clean game. I don't expect them to hit the same clip that the Mavs do, maybe on threes and that kind of thing. But it was still really fun. The game against the Rockets, opening night for San Antonio, their home opening night, was the first time I've ever seen them win in person, so that was really cool.
Nice.
Trying to think if there was anything worth noting. The Mavs halftime show was pretty cool. It wasn't a Mavs halftime show, obviously.
Who'd they have?
It's like a 5-person dance troupe that they kind of dance in the dark, and they've got like these suits that light up.
That's a new one.
And it looked really great on the screen, but because they leave the shot clock and the game clock on, there's too much light on the floor. You can still see, it still looks fine, but on the screen, it obviously looks best, where it's like completely black around them. That was cool. What else in the 2 games? I still think the Spurs arena's 20-fold better than the AAC, mostly because they're not trying with the American Airlines Center anymore.
No.
But there's multiple spots. What are they? I can't remember what they call it now. Frostbank Center. There's a hole behind one of the goals, one half for one. It's not corner. It's like the shorter side. One shorter side of the stadium is just pretty much leveled out to where you can buy drinks and just watch it from over there.
I see. Yeah.
And it's just a really nice experience. It's a better basketball experience, I think. They do less of the just killing me with EDM and hip hop mixes the entire
dance
every
club,
second
the
of the
nightclub?
game. Because they're still playing music, but it's more like organ arena stuff than
Well, Dallas was supposed to be a nightclub. I mean, he definitely he took everything that Jerry Buss did with the Lakers. Like, he took that manual but then he applied it directly to what the citizens of Dallas would want.
And to be fair,
Can't blame him.
I like it with hockey, but because with hockey they don't play any music while the game's actually happening, so you get those breaks.
Yeah.
Basketball's wild. They'll just keep playing
never
music
stops.
the whole time.
Yeah, it's a very loud experience, especially in the AC.
But it's very fun. It was nice to see a decent amount of Spurs fans, obviously, in Dallas for opening night here. A good showing for the first half. Like I said, the turnovers really killed us. They kind of did a fake comeback at the end, hit a couple threes there, and that might have actually been a game for a second. But otherwise, they kind of look exactly like how I thought they would, which is a better team that shows still plenty of room for improvement.
Yeah, and we could get into the whole trade rumor season. That'll probably be what a lot of talks are, because it'll be interesting to see what the Spurs do with the spare parts and what they do with the future assets. Yeah,
I need Mamuk to earn a real role here.
It's all right.
Because I need the national media to have to try to say his name.
You also don't want to end up in a situation like the Mavericks, where you end up having, bench players outdo themselves and then stay too important to the culture.
For sure. That's why I'm excited for what Sohan looks like right now. It looks like he's gonna actually be an NBA player. So,
all right. Well, that's pretty much it for the hoops. We'll bring more content as the season unfolds. You know the NBA; it can't stay not dramatic for too long. So, otherwise, unless you guys have any other things to bring to the agenda,
not at the moment. I'm ready to hear what you have to say about the hoops.
Hoops can retire.
All right, let's retire the hoops.